So here you will be learning about program structure, printing, and comments. So these are things that you can read. It's self-explanatory, so I'm not going to bore you guys, by going through the slides and showing step by step, because the slides are there. So please take a look and go through this. If you have any questions, yeah, you can spam in the WhatsApp group, anything at all. If you have any questions whatsoever, you're not clear, things like that, yeah, just go through this and yep, you can spam. Okay, so for chapter 2, so first thing is I am going to show you guys on how to set up the tools or the application that you're required to use for this course throughout the semester. So for Codeblocks, once you click on the link, go to the download section and go to download the binary release. Okay, and then you might be wondering, I know some of you guys actually message me asking, sir, which one should I download? There's way too many. Okay, looking at all this, right? This is a basic one. You can't compile or run. So what is required for our course is this. It's with something called MingW, because it's the backbone or compiler that understands whatever codes that you're typing, that it can compile and create the executable files for the Windows to recognize. Okay, so please download the MingW. For those who downloaded this, you might not be able to compile or run your programs. It's just an editor, but you cannot compile and run. So you are required to download this. So once you download from either Force Hub or SourceForge, whichever link you prefer, you will get a file like this. What you have to do is just double click it, and then you will get a screen like this. Go with next, just agree, and then click on full. On default it's already full, just click next. It will pick the folder, you don't have to change it. Click install. Okay, like me, I already install it, so it will install completely and it'll ask you that, do you want to run it? So once you click on that, you will see the icon. In my case, I'll repin this icon, so it will launch the code blocks. I'm waiting for it to launch. So yeah, this is what you will see. This will be the tool that you will use to create your codes, your program, things to display as shown in the slide earlier. Okay, which is from here. Yep. So how to use it? There you go. The details are there. So you will type in your codes, and then this is console. So we call it console based. Wait, do we have someone joining? Okay. All right. So it's a console based display. So I'll just do a quick explanation. Uh, all the buttons and features and functions here you can explore yourself. For this course, you won't be playing too much on the other things. No plugins, no whatsoever. Things you have to know: file, new, and you'll be playing with project. So file, new, project, and this is how you start your first application, or every single application. So our weekly exercises, when you have to submit exercises, this is how you'll do your exercise. First part, of course, search or select console and click on console application. So you will be doing console application. Click go and select C. We are not doing C++. The syntax or the coding, or I would say the statement, is different. In C, to display on screen, we use the word printf. In C++, it's called C out, which is COUTO. Yeah. So select C, click next. For me, I like to keep my files on the desktop. Why? Because when you want to submit your exercises or your assessment to Kalam, if it's in default, it will be somewhere in, you know, my documents, somewhere hidden there. It might be difficult for you to find your files. So I would recommend to keep your project files in your desktop area. Okay, so I'm going to create one project example for our lecture. So you just have to key in the project title, select your folder. You can of course click this and select the folder that you want to save. Then click next. Leave it as it is because we are using the GNU GCC compiler. Click finish. So once you've done that, you have actually created your project. This is where your project is. On your left hand side, this is the location view for all your files, uh, all the documents, and etc. The one in the middle here, which is currently grayed out, this will be the part that you type in your codes. This is your editor. And then on the bottom, this would be your logs, your messages, your output, things like that. Okay. You don't have to memorize this thing. This is just for you to familiarize with the tools. So how do we start our first program? Okay. Since we already created the project, we'll double click sources. When you see main.c, okay, since we are using C programming, all the files that you create, the extension will be .c. Something similar to, you know, when you use or create PDF, it will be .pdf. If you're using Excel, it will be Excel access and things like that. So, yep, that's just the extension. So when you double click main.c, you will see your editor. Let me zoom a little. Okay. So this is where you will type all your codes, things that you want to do. It will be in your main.c. Okay, so the .c is the extension for the language. So you might be wondering, okay, what's this, what's this, what's this, all this thing. Okay, I would suggest you guys to Google, but of course, it's my duty to explain to you. So I'll just do a quick run through. This is not hashtag like, you know, what I would say, Twitter or things like that. This is basically libraries. What does this library mean? It is required to get your codes to run. So hashtag include is basically to include this library. Okay, what's the .h? .h is a header file. Okay, HEADR, header files. We have different files or libraries that's already built in the C programming. So that's something you don't have to do. It's already there. So stdio, or students like to call it studio, is basically a short form for standard input output. So this is the library that allows you to process input from the keyboard and output to your screen or to your monitor. So you don't have to know much. This will be automatically generated, so it's there. Second is stdlib or standard lib. It's called standard library. This has all the functions required to perform the basic coding. Okay. So yeah, these are the things that you just have to know. It's automatically there. Will you be penalized if in your exam you don't write this? Not really. But if you don't have these libraries, your code means nothing. Okay. In your chapter 3, where was it? Remember I showed you guys, yeah, chapter 3, you have math functions, things like that. You will be including another library in order to perform something like, you know, sine, cosine, tangent, power, square root, things like that. You require to add this. Include, uh, do make use of the features that's from the drop down. Codeblocks lets you to, yep, to go through this. For mathematical equation, is basically math.h. So just double click on this, it completes for you. So when you include this library, it allows you to do all the functions that I described earlier, you know, power, square root, things like that. Okay. If you don't include this, then when you use the, I would say the functions for square root and everything, it will come out as an error. All right. So if you're curious what other libraries you have, you can Google C libraries and you'll be able to see all the available libraries. Okay. And the example that I gave is the libraries for math, right? So if you Google, you can see what are the things that you can do. Sine, tangent, exponential, log, things like that. So how to do it? Example like square root, click on this. It will tell you you have to include the library. And then if you want to get a square root of 4, you just have to type in sqrt and then put the value that you want to square root. So this function is built in. It comes from these libraries. That is why we have to include this. So here's an example. Feel free to explore. Okay. There's so many other libraries. These are all the libraries. Like I explained to you just now, input, output, things like that. So feel free to Google. Okay. So next, integer main. This is something whether you like or you don't like, you have to write this. This is compulsory because this will tell you or give the application that, okay, whatever thing that you want to do to be done or executed inside this curly bracket. So everything you do, you have to remember, it has to be done inside, not outside. If you do something outside here, it will turn out to be an error. So it has to be inside your main function. This is called main function. So whatever you do, it's inside this curly bracket. Return zero, actually you can read in the slides, but I'll just explain. Return zero is to say that whatever you have run, the application has no errors. It executed, I would say, perfectly or without any issues. So it's return zero there. So basically, these are the things that you're writing. So whatever you're going to do, this is always there, of course. Let's exclude this. You need this. This is basically like your template. So everything that you're going to type your code will be inside this. So let's show you guys first on running. So earlier I showed you how to create a project. Okay. So once you create a project, this is your main file. This will be the editor. Okay. Second thing, how to execute or run the program that you created. There are 3 buttons here. I'm not sure if you guys can see. I'm sorry, I can't zoom this much because the tool is following my resolution. I hope in your screen you can clearly see. There is a gear symbol here. It's for build. Then you have a green color play button. It's for run. And then you have the third button, which is the gear symbol with the play button. Okay. So every time you type in your code, any changes, if you notice whatever I type, there's a yellow color here. It's trying to show that it's not saved and it's not ready. So whatever you type, every time you finish, you have to click the gear button to build. And then if you notice, it will turn to green because it's auto save, and then you will get this message. No errors, no warnings whatsoever. So you know that your codes are fine. Okay. But for me, I'm a bit lazy. So I don't like to do the process of build first and then run to display. I like to go for this, which is the third button, build and run. So every time I do, I want to check, I just click this. What happens is that it will build, it will compile, and you will get a screen like this. This is what we call console application. At this moment, of course, because my program is empty, so you see nothing. If you notice here, there's nothing. But if you get this black screen or command prompt, the olden days of command prompt screen, it means there's no errors and it's successful. So your program has built successfully. But of course, in our case, there's nothing there. So you will be using these buttons. Other buttons, no. It's basically just these three. So every time you type in something, you have to create, you have to build, and then you have to run. So let me show you an example. If I want to display or output my name on the screen, don't worry about this. This thing will be covered in your chapter 4 input output. For now, I just want you guys to familiarize with the tools. Okay. So the function to display on the screen is called printf. Yeah, this one you have to memorize. It comes with the I would say parenthesis or the bracket, and there's something called semicolon. It is compulsory. If you don't have this thing, it's going to be an error. Okay, so this is compulsory. Every time you write a statement, you want to end or complete a statement, you have to put this semicolon. Okay, so printf is a function to display on screen. So by putting double quote, whatever that I type, which you can see on this red blinking cursor, whatever I type inside this area will be printed on the screen. So let me show you. My name is Kubalin. Okay, I'll click Bill, check for any errors. Nope, no errors whatsoever. I'll click Run, and I'll get my output. My name is Kubalin. So printf allows you to produce or print out the output. Scanf is for you to take input from the user. Don't worry about that. We will cover that on chapter 4. Okay, so this is the basic of running the tools. And if you don't get this black screen, that means there's some error. So yes, I'll show you what sort of errors. If you forget your semicolon and you run or you build, you'll get this red color. So double clicking this red error will show you what's the problem. So there is an issue at this line because this line is not complete. So you will say expected semicolon before written. So you miss that, fix it again, and there won't be any more errors. If you forget things like the code, it's incomplete. So when you build, it will show you missing terminating character. So it's trying to say that you started your information that you want to print, but it's not complete. So it's expected there's an expression before the written. And also because there's a double quote, it treats this as a text. So yep, this is how we call debugging, which is you fix the errors. Don't worry much about that. You'll familiarize with it as you keep trying on it. Okay, so that's the basic for the lecture today on running the application and trying out your first application. So I want you guys to, after the session, for those who've already installed your Codeblocks, or if you want to try it right now, yes, you can go to the online GDB, click on C. If you notice, they already create for you Hello World. So you can try this. Put in your name. What's your name? Type in and then click the run button. So you'll be able to see your output on the screen. So exit code 0, so there's no issues. All right, so you can try this out. So just play around with printf. There's a lot of things you can do. If you look at your slide, there is one part. Let's see. I'm not sure if you guys have question or not, but let me ask some question on behalf for you guys. After you try all that, okay, you might ask about formatting. So what's this? Okay, these are the command or the characters, we call it escape characters, that you can use to format your output or control how it looks like. Okay, how is it? Let me show you. Say example, this is my name, and then I continue. I'm a lecturer in University Malaysia Pahang. Okay. When I run, I'll get this. Okay. But of course, it doesn't look that pleasing to have in a single line. So I would like to keep it on the second line. So what I can do is by actually implementing this, these special characters. So I want this statement to be on another line. So slash n, same as this, it creates a new line. So when I run, you'll see this. My name is Kubalan, I'm a lecturer in UMP. So it will switch it to a new line. So you can control the formatting by playing around with these characters. So if you put twice, then you're going to have two lines. If you use slash t, it's going to create a tab. So more information you can explore. You can Google on this. For tab, for vertical tab, the normal tab is horizontal. If you want to use a question, let's give an example. You want to ask the user, what is your name? Right? Okay, if you do this, because it's text, it is fine. The question mark will be there. But if at all in between, you have to add, say, an output. Say string, and then you want to display a variable name over here. Of course, you have to declare the variable. How many characters? 20. Let me show you. Oops. Your name is okay. Yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the user to key in their name. So what I'm going to do is let the user know, please key in your name. Okay, I'll close the code. So it will be displayed here. And then I'll use scanf, which is input, to get the information from the user. So this is the syntax. It's required. It's for name, which is string. That's why it's called S. If you are taking number, then it will be decimal or it will be I. If you are taking values like for your equation, like pi, 4.132 and so on, it will be F, which is float. Okay, those things you will learn later on. So don't worry much about it. So I want to save it to my variable name. Okay, so what this will be doing is, this is where I declare my variable. I let the user know to key in their name. I get the input from the user, which is from their keyboard, and then I display what's their name. Okay, so let's compile. So any errors? No, just a warning. So that should be fine. Another features about in C is called comments. If you want to label, okay, what's this line for? What's this line for? You can do this. Double slash. This thing will not be executed in the program. It's for your reading. So you can write here variable declaration. So this indicates variable declaration, and then let the user know or print on screen. Okay, that's for that. And then this would say get the information from the user or keyboard. Okay, we call it comments, something that you write to label, and then you want to let other people know that okay, this is for you to display their name. So we call this commenting. If you notice, once I type it, it will be grayed out because it's not executed. If you do a mistake, like you miss the double, this will become an error because yeah, the computer, the compiler doesn't understand what is it display their name because that's a human text. So when you add this, it won't be an error because that's automatically it's like you are scribbling or putting your information or comments. Okay, one is by using this double slash. Another way is by using this. Okay, how's that's done? Let me show you. Slash star. If you notice, it will. Let's see. No, Arif, yes, you have a question?
So kalau saya tanya bahasa Melayu boleh tak?
Boleh, boleh, no problem, boleh je.
Okay, pada dekat printf yang pertama tu, let the user know tu, maksudnya dia tanya dulu kan, please key in your name. Lepas tu,
Okay,
kita kena masukkan nama, contohlah saya masukkan nama Adib. So
okay.
baru dia keluar display Adib kan? Ke macam mana?
Okay, okay. Soalan tu kan, alright. What happens is this one is something that will be displayed on the screen. So you can see, please key in your name kan? Okay, right after that, your cursor dekat screen will blink, which means you have to type. So when you type, this line will be executed. That's why it's called Scanf. Whatever that you type on your screen will be captured by this function and dia akan save to this variable which you declare. So once it's saved kat situ, then only you can print out the name. So in this line, line number 10, you get to read the information, but you cannot do anything yet. At line number 13, you have to type. Macam tadi you kata nak type Adib kan? Okay, when you type ADIB and you click enter, the line number 13 is being run. So it will execute 13. So that name will save into this variable. Okay, about this variable, don't worry last, but this is actually chapter 3. You will learn about this in chapter 3. This one is chapter 4. So yes, I'm just showing how it works. So this is where it will get the input. And then now, kita nak keluarkan the nama kan? So line number 16 is the one that is going to print out exactly what you type. So let me show you. You run this, you will get this. Okay, let me put it side by side so you can see from the codes. Okay, that's the left code. So right now, the program will not move to other lines because it's still waiting for your input. So right now, it already executed line number 10, which is this, please key in your name. And then it moved to 11, nothing. It goes to 12, it's nothing, it's just a comment. Then it goes to 13. So it knows it's Scanf, so it's waiting. So the cursor here is actually waiting for you. So say you type, contoh tadi lah, Adib kan? Okay. When you type Adib, you are still in line 13. When you hit the enter button on your keyboard, okay, it will go to line 14, go to 15, this is nothing. It will go to line 16 and it will execute this statement. Your name is, which is this, your name is. This is actually where to input the information. This is where is the information is from. So the information is in this variable called name, and you want this name to be placed at this location. So if you notice, your name is Adib. Oh, sorry, there's a question mark. So I left the question mark there. So you notice that the information that you put in comes in between here. Okay. So if you want to play around with the formatting, of course, yes, a question. Some student will ask, okay, what if I do this? It follows. Okay. I'll show you guys. Okay. Do you notice? So the compiler will compile exactly as how you design. So if you put a space bar, multiple spacebar, it will follow because it reads that space. So you can control. So if you want to add a statement, say this is your name, right after that, and then you put a comma, and you want to say I'm a UMP student. If you run this, your name will fill up in that particular space. Okay. There you go. So you can get any input from the user, and everything else in the code will be displayed exactly as you type in here. Okay. So if you guys can understand exactly what I showed you, basically we already covered chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Done. I mean, if you guys can uh, understand exactly this, so your other chapters should be fine. Okay, so for today, I'm not going to go too much deep. I just want to show you guys how to actually execute uh, or create your first application that allows you to key in, you know, from your keyboard, things that you want to type, things like that. All right, don't worry, yang tu kita akan go in detail on the next chapter. For now, I just want you guys to familiarize on this. So we will cover in details for chapter 3 and chapter 4. So about the slides, so this is something for you to read. So on our lecture session, I will show example. So you can get to know in detail. So if you have question, ask me immediately. You can stop me and I will show you, okay, and I'll explain to you how it's done and how it works and so on. Okay, so please feel free to go through the chapters. So for today, it's up to chapter 2, which is basically for you to know about commenting. What else? How to print out your name, how to execute the program structure, and things like that, basic. So on your lab exercise, we will do something similar to this, maybe a little bit advanced. All right. So nothing much. So that's all for the lecture session today. So we have actually already covered slightly a bit extra, chapter 3 and 4. But later on, chapter 3, we will go in detail. What's other option? So keep in mind, during your exercises, I will come up with an instruction where I'll ask you, you need to submit your .c file, okay, your .c file in Kalam. If I ask you to do that, assume this is your exercise. Okay, how are you going to submit this? You go to your desktop. Oh, sorry, I have multiple screen. Let me bring that folder to you. Okay, this is the folder just now, right? Okay, double click this. You will get this file. You see the main.c? You have to take this file, copy it, put it out. You have to upload this file into Kalam. This is what I meant by submit your .c file. Why? Because this contains the codes, which means if you try to open with the notepad, you'll see the codes. So then I will assess and I'll check your exercise. So whenever you get an instruction in Kalam, submit your .c file or submit your exercise, go to the folder, look for the .c file, which is this, just submit this. You don't have to submit the other parts. These are all project files, binary files, things like that. It's not important. Okay?